what you are doing in the morning might be having a detrimental impact on what your sleep looks like at night. So in today's video, I want to address that a little bit and give you a little bit of an idea of kind of what you can do as a little bit of a morning routine in order to set yourself up to have a good night of sleep the following night. So one of the things that we often kind of overlooked is the role that our morning routine really plays. And the reason why we want to make sure that we have this set in place is because it resets our body essentially. We're talking about looking at our circadian rhythm, light exposure, just kind of get the nervous system really kind of woken up and start kind of pumping itself really. That's the reason why we want to do just something short in the morning to really kind of get this going. And it's actually pretty simple and it's pretty basic. We don't really need to spend a lot of time doing this specifically in the morning. But what we want to do is first and foremost, you want to get some direct sunlight, is as direct to sunlight as you can. I know, depending on where at in the country you live or something like that, can be a little bit hard, especially in the winter months. But what you want to be able to do is, as soon as you can, get direct sunlight for at least I think some, the research says, at least like 30 seconds. I say, the more time you can get, the better, but at least, a minute or two, is kind of preference there. That's my recommendation for people, is always get at least a couple minutes of as direct sunlight on the skin, in the eyes are really important as far as kind of getting all of that. I have a lot of people that I suggest to in the winter months. Number one, if it's cold out and it's too cold for you to get outside and get that direct sunlight, which is what I prefer for people. If you can't do that, you can get the same effect by just standing in front of a window. Mind you, if you're going to just stand in front of a window and get that sunlight, that direct sunlight, you do need to be there a little bit longer in order to get the full benefits of it, just because of the way the protection that we get from windows, from UV rays and all that kind of stuff. And so we have to stand in front of the window a little bit longer in order to get the full benefits of it. So the reason why this is so important is because it resets, as I hit my mic here, it resets our circadian rhythm and kind of that internal clock. um, the it, Basically, it tells the body that, okay, it's the start of a new day, it's time for the nervous system to start firing and waking up and all of those kind of things. And that process has started before we even wake up. That's part of the reason why we wake up, especially if you wake up without an alarm. It's because the our kind of nervous system starting to wake up, the circadian rhythm is starting to ramp up, all of those kind of things are. But that light exposure is really, really important. This one of the things that I find a drastic difference in my alertness and cognitive alertness and everything. If I have had a few minutes of time to be able to get outside, get some sun, specifically too, I always like, if you can get barefoot in the grass, that's another good one to do that. But just spending just a little bit of time, it doesn't have to be much. And in the winter months, one of the things that I recommend for a lot of people too is to get some of those sun lamps. Get on Amazon or something, and you can buy a sun lamp. It works for a lot of people. It does. Again, you have to spend a little bit more time sitting under it or sitting with it on you, but you can get those benefits from it. And so that's the kind of the first step, is just, okay, you wake up as soon as you can, get some direct sunlight. The next thing that you need to be doing is, we need to be some kind of a movement of sorts. And this can just be as simply as just, going on a little walk, doing some light stretching, um, maybe a little bit of calisthenics if you feel up to it or something like that. It doesn't need to be anything much, but just a little bit, just to kind of get the body primed and get the body moving a little bit. There again, this is all in effort to wake the body up and wake the nervous system up and get it all started. And I'll go into the reason why that's so important in just a minute here. But so we want to do that, and then the last bit there is doing a little bit of maybe some breath work, or kind of some intention setting or planning for the day, kind of a mental piece where you can kind of set yourself up mentally to have the kind of day that you're wanting to have. And a lot of that is just, spending a minute or two just sitting, maybe it's sitting in silence, maybe it's prayer, something like that, where you can you can have that moment to just kind of clear your mind and set your idea for what you want the day to look like. Or like I said, doing something like prayer or something like that can be really, really helpful in this time. And so, in the grand scheme of it all, this kind of thing doesn't have to take very long, depending on what activities you choose to do. you know you can look at 4 or 5, up to 10 minutes maybe for total for some of this stuff, because you only need a couple minutes of direct sunlight. You can get some direct stretching, or like just a little walk in a few minutes. That doesn't take very long, and it doesn't take very long to do the kind of the mental work either. And so I always suggest, and I always recommend, this is something that can be easily added into your day, that doesn't have to take a lot of time. We just have to be intentional with it. We have to make sure that we are actually setting time aside and prioritizing it. And the reason why this is so important is because it sets us up so that when nighttime hits, we are in the place and our body has gone through everything that it needs to. Our circadian rhythm and everything is lining up for us to be able to go to sleep at the time that our body is meant to do so. This is we want to kind of get everything ramped up and going as early as we can, as close to when the sun comes up as we can, so that when the sun goes down and when it is time for us to wind down for the night and go to sleep, essentially we've had enough time awake in order to do so. The details of all of that I can go into on another video. I've actually have another one that I'm going to be putting together here soon, that'll kind of explain that a little bit more. But the basic premise of it is that we want to have a little bit of a routine set together as soon as we wake up in the morning, so that it can get us off to a good start, so we can have a good day, and so then we can get to when we get to the evening time, we're able to have a good night's sleep. So that being said, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. Thank you guys for checking out the video and staying this long. If you have any questions or anything like that, feel free to comment below. Yeah, other than that, I will talk to you guys in the next video. Thanks.